Hello and welcome back to the Ohio State Esports broadcast. My name is Mason Fellows or Bob Joseph. Alongside me is Daniel Wilson. We're about to get into VTS Week 2. Ohio State Esports is going to be taking on, I believe, Nameless Masters as our opponent for the evening.
Yes, indeed they are. Ohio State, obviously, we're coming off of a victory in Week 1. We beat Ergotum Poseidon in a bit of a nail-biter 3-game series. Third game was pretty close, but our Buckeyes managed to pull it away, so we're all really happy about that.
There were a lot of great plays in those games. The first two games sort of were very one-sided in either direction to start the series out, but there was a massive Diana-Yasuo combo to sort of get the Buckeyes momentum building, get us back on track, and get that third game won for us. So I'm pretty excited. Going into tonight, where we've actually had a couple of roster moves, our ADC from last week, the Hunt for Value, is now playing mid lane for Ohio State, as well as we have a new bottom lane duo coming in. So it should be pretty interesting to see if the Hunt for Value is going to be capable of making the switch of roles or sort of fill the shoes that Schoonmaster sort of made last week with some pretty good Yasuo play.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see the bot lane combo because now Nameless Masters doesn't have anything to go off for the bans for the bot lane.
Right.
Last week they could have watched the VODs. They know that we like Thresh, but we've got new people down there, so it could be different now.
Yeah, and the two players we've subbed in, OSU Blue, and I think Fluxatine did play last week for our bottom lane, but together they have a lot of synergy pre-built. They've been playing together for a long time. They're very, very aggressive down in that bottom lane. In terms of the champion pool that I am personally aware of for the Hunt for Value in the mid lane, he's playing a lot of Corki, a lot of Victor, these control mages, basically the power picks as he sort of picked up the role more recently, sort of shaped by what's very strong in the meta right now. So we should be getting a champ select pretty soon. We'll see if our predictions about these things are true, but it seems like we're going to be pretty bot lane focused in these games.
I imagine so, yeah. And then obviously Corki and Victor is kind of the meta with the mid lane right now, so they're usually banned or picked from what I've seen.
Yeah, both of those two control mages, definitely a lot in the games, in the lock-in tournament for LCS in the past week or so. Corki priority has gone up. He was sort of making it to second, third picks, but he's first pick priority basically now. Seems to be the number one in that position, but still traded for things like the Victor, like some Macaulay games have been coming in, some Trendemir mid lane has been played, and I know LCK and LCS as well. So very interesting role. Switching into it, it's going to be hard to pick up a lot of these characters quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's just a lot of different matchup, plays a lot of different champions. It's always an adjustment to switch roles like that. So we're going to have to see how Value handles all that.
I got a lot of confidence in the Hunt for Value. He's a great player. He should be able to pick up things pretty quick. Yeah. I don't know too much about our opponents for this week, Nameless Masters. I don't know if they won their match last week. I'm not sure. I don't have that information.
I did not check that information either. So I'm going in with the confidence that our Buckeyes are going to get another
So
win,
what things do you think are OP right now? What champions do you think are real staples in the middle? I know we talked about the Corki and the Victor being very powerful priority picks in the mid lane, sort of being able to neutralize things, just clear waves until they're capable of one-shotting basically the entire team. But are there any other things that sort of stand out in your mind as very strong?
Well, I mean, we saw the Yasuo last week. That's certainly a pick that can go in, but that's more of a pick where if you have things that work with it, because like we saw the Diana-Yasuo combo, you've got to have something going like that, because Yasuo being melee, even with his dashes, can have a really hard time against ranged people like Victor and Corki, so you got to watch out for that.
As well as I think Schoonmaster is a very proficient Yasuo player. I think he used to be a Yasuo one-trick before he came to the university, actually. So that's sort of a pocket pick specifically for him. I think in terms of other power picks in the meta, I think things like Xin Zhao, Viego, fantastic junglers that can have a lot of impact on the game. Sort of hybrid between very high damage, but still very safe, with Xin Zhao having the ultimates. It looks like we're going to be hopping into the draft. Xin Zhao ultimate being able to be a great defensive tool, as well as the Viego being able to go immune between abilities after champion resets. Sort of great defensive and offensive abilities combined together to make very powerful junglers in the meta right now.
Yeah, definitely. So starting off with Aphelios, and there's a Corki ban already. So, like we said, banned or picked very early on.
Yeah, with the quick swap, definitely if you look at his OPGG, the Hunt for Value is going to have a lot of AD carries played. So Corki sort of being a mid laner that used to fulfill that role as an AD carry definitely seems like a powerful ban. I know that's one of the more prominent champs. And pinching the champion pool of someone who's recently picked up a role is definitely a good strategy. So I like where the bans are at for Nameless Masters. Diana, Jinx, Mundo, all pretty powerful characters. The Mundo a little bit stranger, maybe a proficient top lane pick for the opposing team. I'm not super familiar with him. We do see the Hecarim. Hecarim,
Yep.
a fantastic pick. I know that's most BioGamers' most confident pick. So playing a lot of that.
Yeah, we definitely saw him pick up a lot of high-impact kills and entries last game with that. And obviously the Viego on the other side, very much going with the meta like we were talking about in the jungle right now.
Yep, picking up those powerful defensive and offensive jungles, I think is a very good thing to focus on for teams in draft right now.
Yeah.
Camille, this is probably the safest blind pick top laner in the game right now. She's a very powerful character. Can team fight, can split push, sort of has all the tools she needs to be useful in any situation. But actually picked into the Aatrox, it seems like. Oh, actually, this is a remade draft. So this is not exactly the order that these picks have been locked in, but these are the positions they're going to be played. So we will be able to see sort of the order these things are locked in a moment.
Senna ADC, I always love to see that. Senna Tom Kench, that's a pretty common combo, so we'll have to see what they make of that.
Yeah, I don't believe in the current patch that people are playing Fasting Senna. I know that was a very powerful pick alongside the Tahm Kench before. You would be able to get the Tahm Kench full build tank items, very powerful. But I believe right now it's just sort of the Tahm Kench alongside it because it's a good defensive lane with the Senna. But the Senna does last it. It's not that Fasting Senna build we used to see. And we got a Pyke lock-in. Ezreal Pyke's an interesting lane. Ezreal more of a defensive character, so Pyke most likely going to try to roam out of the lane. And we might actually see what we thought would be bot lane focus and bot lane aggression coming out for Ohio State here. Actually sort of turn into a more roaming play where the support gets to leave the lane, not really interact with Senna Tompkins since the 2v2 is very difficult for that bottom lane matchup. Might roam to mid and try to make more plays around the Hecarim, around the Camille, around the Vex. These powerful sort of snowbally champions that could cause a lot of problems for Nameless Masters.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then Hecarim obviously is going to be great at just moving around the map. He's got a very useful ability to just help him charge around. Viego obviously going to be a threat too. I know I always love to look at junglers. That's the position I love the most, so I love talking about
And they have just a giant impact on the game. Viego being able to go for those early game ganks might be a little hard in these matchups. Top lane seems gankable, but Ezreal hard to lock down, Pyke hard to lock down, and Vladimir having a tough time sort of setting up those plays. It might be a little difficult for Viego to get things going in the early game, which gives time for the Hecarim to scale. Because Hecarim right now, building the Kerbo Chem tank into the Muramana, does a great job at sort of hard farming for level 6 for those two items and then spiking once he gets those two things to be unkillable and unstoppable with high damage.
Yeah, they're definitely have to limit that early on. And then, obviously, yes, as you were saying, Ezreal with his E is just a really slippery champion, especially when he hasn't used it. If he has E and Flash, he is almost ungankable if played correctly. So
yeah, so I'll like to see if this Pyke is going to be able to go make plays on the other parts of the map. We are going to take a quick 3-minute break for competitive integrity. We'll be back on the Rift in just a moment. Welcome back to VTS Week 2. I'm Mason Fellows again, back with Daniel Wilson. We're about to hop into Summoner's Rift for Game 1 of our series, Ohio State University versus Nameless Masters. Who do you think's ahead in the draft? Because personally, I like a lot of what Ohio State's doing, but the Ezreal pick, the more defensive bot lane play, was not exactly what I was anticipating.
Yeah, I do hate to say it, but Nameless Masters I think is just a little bit ahead of me because I don't favor the Ezreal ADC pick very much.
Yeah,
So.
I think they've got a very sturdy front line is the thing for Nameless Masters draft. They've got the Tom Kench, the Viego pick can create a lot of space, and the Aatrox. They've got a lot of things going on that can sort of create space for the Senna to do a lot of work. I think what's going to have to happen for Ohio State to take this game is they're going to have to get advantages early. That Hecarim pick is going to have to get ahead. Camille might be able to be a split push threat, but, we'll have to see what's going on. We're going to hop right into the game. And back to us.
Yeah. I definitely agree with your analysis. That Pyke roaming, I think, is going to be able to help Hecarim before he gets level 6. Maybe we can make some ganks off of that. I think that could be very helpful.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of Pyke plays. This Vex pick, it's not exactly what I was expecting for the hunt for value after this quick role swap. I know it's been the past week or two that he's been working on his mid lane pool. This is more an aggressive sort of assassin mage pick. It's not exactly what I was anticipating for him to be picking.
Yeah, it's definitely a high damage dealer, though,
It's definitely strong in the meta, and we are going to hop into the game. It looks like Ohio State all going towards the bottom side of the map for some sort of invade. They're going to get spotted on a ward, so not much is going to go on.
Yeah, they'll get rid of the ward, as you would expect. They got Sweeper, and doesn't seem like anything's going to come of it.
Important thing to talk about, Moo Cub is going to get that CS. First off, gold advantage for Ohio State, very powerful, but he will get level 1 off of that first minion wave. In a solo lane, that can make a big difference, especially in this Aatrox matchup. Camille being able to get a little bit of an edge might be able to push the tides. Whoever's winning in this side lane is going to be a very important factor because if Camille's ahead at all, she can be a giant threat. Constantly threatening side lanes, pushing waves, pushing towers, getting objective bounties if they're behind or just plates if they're ahead. It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, even when you're even, she can just be a really hard champion to deal with, even one-on-one. And if she's ahead, then she is basically just going to win her the way in 1v1 and threaten split pushing constantly. So definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah, what's going to be interesting is where these junglers decide to path. Both of them starting on the bottom side of the map, getting that bit of better leash from their bottom lane duo. I think Viego, very powerful sort of 3-camp into a gank, wants to get that W flash combo in. The hunt for value, if he pushes up this wave, might be a likely target for that gank. Hecarim Moore definitely wants to just farm out his camps, get that level 6, get some of his items ready and stacking before he makes a lot of action on the map.
Yeah, definitely not as early game impactful as Viego has the potential to be, but it doesn't look like any of the lanes are really going to be pushing up super far this early. I think Ohio State's aware of the threat that the Viego poses.
Something interesting to talk about that I mentioned in draft, I didn't think the Senna would go fasting, but it does look like Nameless Masters did opt in for that. So we will have the Tom Kench CSing, going to be very powerful frontline member. Sort of just avoiding the nerfs that he received on the most recent patch, where his E shielding is reduced. That doesn't happen if you're within a couple thousand units of an ally. So with the Senna next to him, he's going to be just as strong as he was, sort of bullying the top lane in the last patch.
Yeah, certainly something. And it looks like Camille in the top lane has actually pushed up a little bit. She was able to get some advantage on Aatrox, and Viego is going to go in for the gank. He's heading right up there. We'll see if they're successful with that. Mookub's going to be in a lot of trouble up there. Viego's moving in already. And Mookub, oh, he's going to get caught. Mudologist and Forest is going to CC him and keep him there. Doesn't have flash, and I think this might be it for Mookub. Yep, Viego claims the first blood, and that's huge for Nameless.
Bio going for a bit of a trade back, but I don't think this will turn into much. He does pop the ghost, gets the flash out of the opponents, actually turning this 1 versus 2, gets the kill on Mundologist. Oh, that makes a lot of sense why we got that Mundo ban, but good trade kill back.
Yeah, that was super important. It's good to keep Camille. She's still going to be able to stay there. Mookub's going to be able to farm away, and yeah, I'm surprised Hecarim was there right afterwards, and if they stuck around, I don't think they would have won that 2v1 anyway. BioGamer doing a really good job just with the map awareness, watching his top lane.
Flux going for an E flash forward. Very aggressive on the spike, gets the flash out from his lane opponent. Yeah, but a re-gank in the top side.
Yeah, Mookub is still going to be in trouble here, and it looks like Mookub is going to fall again. That is That is really unfortunate.
And
But
Bio not in position to trade back. Looks like not much will come of this bot lane.
yeah, it doesn't look like this Ezreal is really going to be in much trouble there. He's going to be able to get out of it, but we're going to see Hunt for Value has pushed this mid laner in quite significantly, and it looks like they're going to recall. So
Yeah, an important thing to talk about is those summoner trains. Like I was mentioning, Mookub didn't take the flash, so able to get ganked and re-ganked over and over again in this top lane. The first original kill didn't get any flashes out from the side of Nameless Masters, but Moondologist dying and Forest Owlet having to blow his own flash once the Biogamer on the Hecarim came back in for the counter gank. So what originally was no summoners and just a clean kill gets traded back on them because they're a little greedy with their own summoners and sort of neutralizes the advantage. But then the second gank coming through keeps that Camille sort of on the back foot, punishes her for pushing her wave up. Forest Outlet positioning on the bottom side. Hard to gank the Ezreal pikeling, though. We'll see if anything comes of this.
yeah, and it looks like Flux has just placed a ward on the Viego, which is looks like it's gonna cause Forest to back off since they know that he's there.
Definitely good awareness from Ohio State, knowing that this is probably where the Viego's wanting to path his bot side camps respawning as both junglers cleared towards the top side.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, these trades, the Senna, very powerful in lane, pretty abusive. They do have a pretty large CS advantage, since the Tahm Kench is melee, has to farm into that range character, sort of under threat. But the gold coming from Senna's support item sort of balances that income out.
You'll have to see. It looks like Flux on the Pike is going to be rotating toward this mid lane. And it looks like Forest and Biogamer are going to get into a fight, but nothing's going to come of it. They're each going to escape with their lives. And Flux is camping out in this mid lane, but Schwamwow seems to know that he's here now. I don't think he's going to be able to get much done at this point. Yep, he'll channel and he's going to head back.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they're looking for on this play. It's kind of hard. The wave pushed all the way in. There's not much you could do to a Vladimir with that W being able to immune the hook. Going to get the wave priority in both lanes and start the dragon up.
Yeah, first dragon definitely be something both junglers are always looking out for, and Flux is going to clear a control ward toward the bot lane Tribush here, but Biogamer has no contest for this Drake by the looks of it, so I think Ohio State's going to claim it.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, that Hecarim not really wanting to get into a lot of fights. Got that trade kill in the top lane, sort of over on an overextension, but other than that, just been sort of hard clearing his camps, up a little bit of CS in the jungle matchup there. Sort of once he gets to his item spike, he's going to be very powerful. Got that tier online, getting towards that chem tank. Something in terms of itemization I do want to talk about is the Senna build. There's been lots of different options for this character as she's been sort of played with CS, with fasting. Looks like this time she might be going for that Eclipse. I think that's the most aggressive but most powerful early game item on the character. Getting that lethality and that shielding, very, very helpful. Other options, sort of the Frozen Gauntlet. Iceborne Gauntlet, that's what it's called. So to get the slows on the autos, more of the kiting, tankier build, and then there's also the attack speed crit chance item that I am slipping my nine the name of right now. That she can go for really the most damage output in the late game team fights.
Yeah. And it looks like Mookub's been having a bit of a fight with Metologist in the top lane there, but nothing's going to come of it. However, an Ohio State gank toward the mid lane is going to leave this Vladimir fleeing under his tower, while the bot lane Soldier for Nameless is low on health, and OSU Blue is going to take him out. Ezreal claiming the first kill in that bot lane, and we were talking about being defensive, but that's definitely something Ezreal wanted to find.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's sort of a bait and switch going on. As the Pike roams into the middle lane, it makes the bottom lane feel like they had to be aggressive, punish this Ezreal from free farming in the bottom lane, but they actually get baited to overextend into a gank from Biogamer. Biogamer ready in the bottom lane to counter the aggression. Very interesting.
Yeah, very good play, and it's gonna be important to keep this Ezreal ahead, because if he's just gonna have to play defensive the entire time, then they're almost gonna be playing without an ADC come late games.
Yeah, I know OSU Blue does a great job. Once he gets some gold in his pockets, he gets a lot of damage on the map, and having this Hecarim get a lot of the gold funneled in himself, getting himself about a 20 CS lead at this point, very, very powerful. Once he gets those two items, he will become a menace on the map. The sort of is pushing towards that win condition we set out for Ohio State. They have to get a little bit of gold running in their pockets early on some key members. But Viego's still strong. The gold lead's still in favor of Nameless Masters. But it doesn't look too bad for Ohio State.
Yeah, certainly not. And there's definitely options for OSU. Like, we're at the point where Rift Herald is up now, and Ohio State's pretty heavy toward the top lane, actually, with Aatrox in base right now. And, yeah, it looks like Hecarim's going to be looking towards this as Vex rotates up. So, good to see an early Rift Herald here.
Yeah, we definitely see a very active Pyke on the map as we anticipated. Rift Herald probably just going to go over. Looks uncontested. Ohio State doing a much better job of securing these objectives on both sides of the map. Even if they're a touch behind CS and behind in kills on these plays. BioGamer doing a great job of pathing his jungle efficiency, making sure all his camps are dead, and getting onto the neutral objectives.
Yeah, certainly. It's a great thing to keep on top of, and I think Nameless figured out, although a little bit too late, what was going on once they saw the Camille bot lane, but looks like Mookub was going to get into a little bit of trouble there, and Viego's still there, so a tower dive could be on the cards, but while that's happening, Ohio State is just taking plates on the top lane right now.
Yeah, both sides of the map sort of threatening these dives. This is sort of what happens once you swap into the top side. Mookub under a little bit of threat is going to go down. See if Ohio State can turn something on the other side of the map, but they've rotated members up. This Herald probably not going to get a ton of value.
Does notably take the flash off of Viego, so it's going to spend some time away from that, but BioGamer is going to claim Metologist's life in the meantime. ShwamWow is going to kill him Flux, and looks like Ohio State's going to continue with their aggression, placing the Rift Herald on the top lane, and looks like they're going to take the first tower. I don't think ShamWow can do anything about this.
I'd like to see the health on this bot lane turret. I think this is pretty close. In the first 15 minutes of the match, the bot lane turret having significantly less armor and magic resistance against enemy champions. So this might be a little bit closer than it seems. The Rift Herald is going to be a giant portion of the damage, though. Is switching it up enough into Ohio State's favor. So they get to get that first turret, and gold is basically even.
Yeah, it definitely evens up the gold. However, while it was happening, 3 plates claimed on the bottom for Nameless side, so they're doing what they can to keep up with things. And
yeah, it's really just where do you prefer your gold to be? The Viego sort of being the large threat onto the side for Nameless Masters, but a lot of gold in the pockets of OSU Blue. He's already finished that Essence Reaver. He's got the Muramana coming on deck soon. We see the Turbo Kin Tank in the inventory of BioGamer. These tiers stacking up. This item is very powerful, and see if they can see what they can do with it.
Yeah, he has Chem Tank and Boots already, so seems like this Hecarim could be online very shortly for these ganks, but on the other side, Viego has finished his Kraken Slayer, so his damage is going to go up significantly as well.
Kraken Slayer, the item I was trying to name earlier, as we see a little bit of aggression. Tomkin's very hard to sort of make a play on here. I don't think much will come of this. But they are positioning pretty aggressively for this dragon. Looks like Ohio State might want to contest this.
Yeah, the only one not here is going to be Camille, but it looks like they're going to claim the dragon. OSU Blue definitely tried to steal it with that Ezreal ult, but unfortunately just not going to be successful, and the Hextech Drake will be claimed by Nameless, and we're going to look at an Infernal Soul for this game.
Yeah, and I mean, that comes down to who was on the objective first, who had set up for it. Ohio State coming in too late. It was too little too late for them. Not able to make anything happen, so dragons are now equal.
Yep, it's a good equivalence. It's good for Nameless to have jumped back on that, and now we're going to see. It looks like Nameless's bot laners are going to be farming in the top here for a second, and OSU going to be responding with their own, and Pyke channeling the hook is able to grab Tom Kench, but it's Tom Kench. I don't think they're going to make much of that. It's
Tom Kench who's been CSing. This guy's too tanky to be threatened on. Bio hovering around, but again, it's really hard to make anything happen here. I'm getting a little bit nervous for Ohio State's comp here. This is like, as things are staying even as we get later into the game, this Vladimir is getting more and more powerful. A free farm Vladimir, once it hits 15, 20, 25 minutes, is just an absolute menace. Blue going in.
Yeah, Blue is absolutely trying to take a chunk out of the Senna in the mid lane, but Senna's just going to be able to get away. And ults onto OSU Blue, which brings them very low health, but Tom Kench is going to come in, but looks like OSU Blue is going to escape from that situation.
Yeah, gets the heal out, but doesn't seem to be able to find much more. Yeah, well, man, this... Oh.
I think Pyke is searching to find this soldier, get the Senna out of condition, but doesn't look like he's going to be successful in that.
It's almost an ult range. I feel the bloodlust. You see that little line on the enemy champion as Pyke, and you really just want to go in.
Oh, but BioGamer decides he wants to go in and claims the Senna's life that we were just talking
eradicates him
about.
under the turret and walks by. Tahm Kench ult not able to save the character that dies from 500 HP. But the Vladimir does massive damage onto the hunt for value coming in with that trade. He's getting more and more items and getting very scary.
BioGamer was certainly under threat there, but Nameless Masters decide to not threaten him and continues along with their way. And ShamWow has taken out Hunt for Value on the bottom lane, and it's just going to give this Vladimir even more fun.
Oh, it's so painful to see the Hunt for Value being bullied on this Vex pick, which sort of needs to get something done in the early game. The level 11 coming through for Vladimir, items getting stacked up, the Predator, he just goes in and kills him. Hunt for Value even blowing the Ignite just as just angrily pressing the button as the Vladimir walks away underneath the turret.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, and that's not going to be good in the late game. And Mookub here is also just a little bit behind on the top lane. We were mentioning that Camille might be one of the win cons for Ohio State, and she's just not being piloted quite that well by Mookub, at least yet. There's still time to see, but...
Yeah, he's definitely struggling. Again, after those 2 early ganks, it's hard for the Camille to sort of get position in that lane, get aggressive on the Aatrox. Aatrox can sort of clear the wave safely or harass him with some long-range Qs. And especially after the sort of lane swap situation, Mookub being bullied off minion waves underneath the turret, whereas Aatrox sort of got to stay under and keep CSing, he's fallen pretty significantly behind in this lane. It's hard for him to find an angle back into it.
Yeah, it's certainly hard, and it looks like a bit of a fight was forming in the mid lane, but both teams decided to go their own ways on that one. And, man, this Pyke has just not been able to hit very much of anything because Tahm Kench has been so tanky just sitting in front of the ADC.
Yeah, it's not a problem of not being able to land the skill shots. It's not an execution problem. It's just can't do anything into this Tahm Kench pick.
Yeah, and there it is, another hook onto Tahm Kench, but you can't punish. It's Tahm Kench.
Just every play is sort of being gone away, but this looks like an engage.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a bit of a team fight here. BioGamer's going to engage. He is going to shut down the Viego. Does BioGamer chase anymore? It doesn't look like it. Mookub is going to be in a little bit of trouble as he gets chased by Mundologist, but looks like the Tahm Kench is going to get back into the front line and take out the Pyke. OSU is going to cut their losses and just get out of there before it gets worse.
That's painful for the Ignite, or the Pyke, getting ticked down by the last dot of the Ignite. Really just 300 health of his passive, wanting to regen it, but can't get the stealth because of the true sight coming from that Ignite. Very frustrating situation. And this sort of Tahm Kench Senna pick, it was high priority in the draft. I wasn't as sure of it, but it's looking very powerful right now. Sort of shutting down the aggression from Flux. He's not able to go in. He's not able to sort of impact this game as much as he wants to.
Yeah, like you said, it's just been really hard there, but it looked like Modologist could have been in a little bit of trouble there. However, he's not, and now both teams look like they're both rotating toward the Dragon now.
Yeah, it's spawning in 5 seconds. They're wanting to get a little bit of vision control in the area first, but again, the problem is this Tahm Kench, he's too big. He's got a full tank mythic completed, boots on top of that. He can walk wherever he wants to, and no one on the Ohio State's team can kill this guy. So they just get free priority of the objective. Ohio State can't get in, can't contest. The only option they really have at this point is to threaten the side lane, and Camille's not really strong enough to deal with the Aatrox or the Vladimir.
Yeah, that Camille is just going to be unable to split push as of yet, and the fasting Senna with Tahm Kench just completely building up that tank item, as you said, has just been suffocating Ohio State right now. Looks like BioGamer is going to be going for the next Rift Herald, and I think that he's going to be able to get it up there, but I don't know. Ohio State's really falling behind on CS and lanes right now.
Yeah, and second Herald, plates are gone. It's not nearly as strong as objective as the first one. It's not worth that priority as much because it doesn't give as much gold. You can use it to sort of kill a tower on the sides of the map, but at this point, with this rock of Tahm Kench Senna in the mid lane, I don't even know if you could be able to crack that one. So maybe be able to get something done in the side lane with it, but on BioGamer, it's hard to see where this second Herald is going to be useful.
Yeah, I agree with you. You might going to be able to get a tower, maybe even 2, but as long as you can't crap through this Tahm Kench, OSU is just going to have trouble in any team fights and claiming any objectives until they find a way of dealing with it.
Absolutely. Well, if we have to find a way back into the game for Ohio State, what does that look like? I think the most important thing is we see 2 Muramadas. This item is absolutely broken. And Ohio State's got 2 of them stacking up, nearly upgraded, nearly getting to that evolve. I think they're going to have to take a good fight, get a pick on someone through the Tahm Kench somehow, with these powerful Muramana characters and then take the objective. If they can't get it together by this next dragon, it seems it's going to look very hard for them to get back into this game.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe if they get in a team fight and if BioGamer can get another good flank like we saw around the tower to get the Senna earlier in the game, if he can do something like that, that would certainly give Ohio State an advantage, especially because Ezreal's got some good range, especially with his ult. He could finish off low enemies in the back. But
yeah, and what we were talking about with the sort of bottom lane being very, very powerful for Nameless Masters, the Senna and the Tomkin sort of shutting down the aggression of that Pyke. BioGamer's 4-0. He's got 150 CS. That's nearly the most in the game. A couple people edging him out there. But in the jungle, being even close to CS is kind of challenging. He's got his 2 items that we've been talking about since the draft phase. He's strong. This guy can one-shot backliners. So if they're able to find an angle, burn that Tomkin Schultz maybe in a different situation, or hook him away from the carries that they're trying to threaten, there's a way for them to get back into this. It's just challenging, and it's very much on BioGamer's back.
Oh, and speaking of challenging, Mundologist is challenging Hunt for value in the top lane here, but nothing is quite going to come of it until BioGamer comes in here, and he's going to be able to just gank Mundologist, who's going to take out Hunt for value, and this has now become a serious problem. BioGamer's going to get out of there as Mookub barely walks away with their life, but the Ezreal will finally come in and claim the life, and that just took way too much effort for that one kill.
All 5 members having to surround Moondologist to lock him down off of his maybe most powerful character with that Mundo ban, but they have to lose a lot of mid lane priority here, but they're a little bit overextended.
Oh, BioGamer's going to punish that. He's going to be able to take Forest Life, and it looks like Tom Kench is going to get away with the Senna, but we'll see if they decide to go in again, but they're under a tower at this point, so I think OSU's smart to just
they're going
those
for a
kills.
very aggressive play. They're actually going to pop the Herald out. They understand that they're behind. They have to take this avenue. With the jungler dead, they're going to threaten onto that Nash. We're going to have to see if this Vladimir is going to be able to stop it. It's pretty slow right now. The Hecarim's strong, but I don't know if he can burn it very quickly. A TP coming in from Moondologist, Hunt for value in a bad spot. People getting off the objective. They're going to look for a pick here.
Yeah, they're going to be able to threaten Mundologist, but the thing is a lot of them are low health. Mookub takes Mundologist, but it's also traded. The Ezreal is gone for Ohio State. As their damage, this ShamWow is going to come in with the Vladimir. Nothing much is going to come of it yet. Ohio State places a control ward, but Nameless does not want to back up yet.
A little bit messy on the end there, but OSU Blue getting caught off the transition off of that Nash. They decide, hey, we can't burn this quick enough. We don't have enough damage, so we're going to get the pick we can get. But he's not able to get over that wall fast enough and gets caught by the Senna Tomkins. And now it looks like Nameless Masters are going to go try to threaten the Nash. They want to get this game closed out faster. They're not going to try to stack up this dragon. They say, we can end it now. We're strong enough.
Yeah, they're definitely stronger now, and they definitely they don't want to take those chances. ShamWow is going to be guarding the other side of the Baron here. And
the Vladimir's an absolute menace on that side of the wall. Can't even get close to get a ward. The stealth going to get him a little close, but it's not enough.
Ezreal with an ult actually steals the Baron, and that's going to give OSU a huge advantage coming in to the rest of this game.
And the fight looks pretty good for him here. They might be able to get somewhere.
Oh, BioGamer is able to take out Viego, and they're going to continue on to this. Tom Kench is on really low health. They take out the front line, and looks like OSU Blue low on health, but they're going to be able to take out Mundologist here. BioGamer engages and takes him out. BioGamer going up 7 kills to no deaths. A Senna ult in response, but will not take out any of OSU's members.
It's absolutely massive. The Ezreal ult to sort of save the game, get Ohio State back into it. Now with a 5,000 gold lead, a 7-0 Hecarim, and that team fight won with the extra stats of the Baron. This game is absolutely flipped on its head due to a fantastic Ezreal ultimate coming through.
Yeah, that is not something you see every day, but it's something that you just love to see.
Oh, it's so exciting.
Oh, that's gonna be such an advantage to Ohio State. Nameless is getting objective bounty soon.
It's enough gold for a bounty, even though it sort of felt so dire for Ohio State. They're forcing these Baron plays. That one flip, a couple good team fights, some turrets, and the gold from the Baron coming out. That's huge, huge boon to Ohio State. Camille might even be able to threaten these side lanes now. Hecarim on 3 items, Ezreal finishing his Shattered Crown, 2 items for the hunt for value. Ohio State's very strong and now has a much better shot of sort of threatening these fights. It still might be difficult sort of front to backing versus the Tom Kench Senna.
Yeah, that being said, after all that, this Tom Kench is still one tanky boy that they're going to have to get through during team fights.
Absolutely. I think what matters a lot now is sort of playing these side lanes well. It's about dancing. It's about making them split their resources up. You don't want to take a 5 versus 5 versus Nameless Masters composition, but you don't really have to. This Camille's pretty safe in the side lane, probably not going to get solo killed at this point. Moondologist is 1 in 5, so he's not the most powerful in the top lane. Actually getting threatened onto by the Camille.
Yeah, Mookub is definitely taking advantage of Moondologist being lower in level in CS now. But, yeah, just get it back off for now. I think they realize how much trouble they could be in this fight.
And they're doing a great job of threatening both sides of the map. Forest Outlet going in for a little bit of a blue steal. Not much for him to do in the base, but they're doing a great job right now of using this Baron that got stolen, this sort of situational play, to the fullest effect they can get.
Yeah, they're taking these cannon minions and just taking towers with them. Like, the
Big
bot lane
hook.
towers just
Oh
down,
my
but
God!
they're going to go in. OSU Blue takes out Senna with an amazing shot there.
Oh, the Ezreal damage is just massive at this point. Essence Reaver putting so much damage through that Muramana fully stacked up. Just one-shotting on any hook. Tom Kench, again, not able to make the save. Mookub getting a little bit engaged on here. Pretty scared, but might be able to get out to safety.
Yeah, but while all that's happening, Ohio State claimed a bot inhibitor, which is a huge, huge play to get early on.
Looks like they might just recall out here. A little low on the Baron time. Going to be actually gone here. Perfectly timed recalls, sort of getting back to the base, getting the last juice out of that. The bot side inhib is very, very powerful for this next Baron that's going to spawn. But before that, we have to see this third Infernal spawn. Whichever team that claims it gets sole point. Do you think that Nameless can really get in there and get a team fight going?
I think it's really just going to depend on positioning, because we've been talking about this Tom Kench the whole time. If he's able to be there and if he's able to defend for Nameless, it's going to be really hard for them to get in. But Ohio State, with the Baron and all the gold they've gained off of it, and Hecarim with just some great engage, they could even take it from them. It's going to be really hard for Nameless to get it, I think.
Yeah, and this Tom Kench we've sort of been talking about is like the rock of the front line, sort of the place that everyone gets their safety from, just the space that he creates. It's going to be a lot harder for him to position now that the damage is so much more threatening, right? He gets pike hooked away from his carries, then his carries die to a Hecarim ulti. If one of his carries gets hooked, they explode if he doesn't ult them immediately. So it's a lot harder for him to play instead of just sort of waddling around in the mid lane like he did for most of this match. Looks like they're going to go to top lane, claim this outer turret. It's very threatening for a dive, so undefendable for Nameless Masters.
Yeah.
And I don't think much will happen until we get to that dragon in about a minute here. Moondologist getting a little aggressive on the side, but he got his teammates behind him. Oh, they're looking for something.
Outlet and Beeped are up here now. Uh-oh, Mookub could be in a lot of trouble in this fight. And it looks like Mookub is going to get taken out. Biogamer's here, though. He's going to claim the life of the Aatrox, and it looks like Biogamer is not done yet. Forest Outlet is also going to go down. A double kill for him. ShamWow is trying to get away, but it's going to be unsuccessful. OSU Blue with a kill. Beeped. The Tom Kench and the Senna, the last ones remaining.
And Nameless Masters feeling the pressure, not thinking they can get out of the space in time. Can't get to that Dragon Test. Feel like they have to force something on the overextended members of Ohio State, getting that Mookub pick, but they go too far trying to chase through, trying to finish Biogamer too, and now they're going to lose another inhibitor and maybe even the entire game.
Yeah, it certainly could cost them the game because we're now less than a minute for that Dragon being up. Biogamer is recalled, so as OSU just puts pressure on this base, he'll be able to take the Dragon.
TH4 putting in massive damage on these combos now, a little bit behind in the early game, but a big threat onto that Senna.
Yeah, definitely. It looks like Ohio State has decided that they're going to be happy with their 2 inhibs. They're heading back to the base for now.
I mean, you have 2 inhibs, a tower down on the Nexus. We've got Dragon spawning in 10 and Baron spawning in 20. If they leave their base to contest, 1 Nexus tower can't defend a wave of super minions, let alone 2.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to push these waves out long in advance before a team fight starts in order to even have a chance to leave their base, let alone win the fight on the objective from this far behind in gold.
Yeah, and it looks like OSU has claimed that Dragon and puts them on sole point, which just puts Nameless even further behind than they were before.
Yeah, it's a good thing to threaten in case a fight does go wrong, but I don't really think they're going to need it. I think they're going to be able to take this Baron uncontested. It's so hard for Nameless Masters to leave their base right now. And if they can't leave to contest the Nash, how are they going to defend the base once they're down 10 cold with a Nash buff coming at them?
Yeah,
it's a team going aggressive. 1 versus 4, trying to get out using the flash.
It's getting worse and worse, but looks like Flux has been distracting them while BioGamer's just able to claim the Baron. Also of note, Camille's been on the bot lane split pushing like we were talking about. So
Yeah, Pyke having so many defensive tools, sort of, with the stealth, with his E, with the flash available, can sort of run around like a maniac in the enemy jungle, but now getting caught out too far again, you gotta recall sometimes, man. That's a little bit aggressive.
yeah, they were a little bit aggressive. I don't think that that's going to give Nameless a huge open door back into this game, though.
Well, OSU, they did their homework. In case they made a mistake, they got the Dragon, they got the Baron. There's no objective for Nameless to take, even if they're 4 versus 5. So it just doesn't matter at this point. So Flux has the space to get a little bit, we'll say, aggressive in the enemy jungle.
He certainly has that kind of space. And now OSU deciding they're going to push mid. It looks like they're going to go after the last inhibitor here, taking out the mid turret.
Who gets to this cannon? It's so hard, but Vladimir with a big engage, the stopwatch.
Hunt for value stopwatches. OSU Blue takes out the enemy Aatrox. Vladimir responds. BioGamer goes legendary. BioGamer gets another one. All that's left is Soldier. It's our bot lane combo yet again. BioGamer is going in. He's going to take out Soldier. And the minion's going to take the tower while all this is happening. And OSU Blue finishes beeped on Tom Kench.
And that's why you don't give BioGamer Hecarim. This is his most confident pick. He goes 12-0, absolutely destroying every engage, destroying every turret on the map. This game's a clean win for Ohio State after that Ezreal ult steal to get them back in position of the game. That was a fun one. That was a good game.
Wow, it's always fun to see a Baron steal, and especially when it's just that impactful, because basically right when that Baron steal came in, the game flipped. OSU just absolutely took the lead, and they never let it go.
And I'm going to have to watch the clip after the broadcast is over, because what happened? The Ezreal came in just perfectly timed with a smite. There wasn't any smites to contest in the pit. It's a hard thing to do, but the Ezreal steal, just securing the game, getting the lead, that was just insurmountable. That sort of early game advantage we were talking about didn't really happen, but the gold for that early game advantage essentially was handed to Ohio State because of that Baron play. The 5,000 gold lead coming out of nowhere, essentially, to put them back into that game.
Yeah, it certainly just let Ohio State plow over their enemies for this game one, and certainly entertaining to see. Yeah, the Hecarim, I think, was just a huge part. They let him farm up. They never claimed his bounty. He didn't die that whole game. His engage was critical in winning most of their team fights. It was just dominance from BioGamer.
Yeah, so just start to finish, we were talking about this Hecarim, talking about those powerful items, how confident BioGamer is on the champ, and I have to see it banned next game. There's just no way they can let it through.
Yeah, I don't see Nameless Masters letting that through again.
But before we get to that next game, we're going to have to throw it to a short break, so we will see you guys when it's over.
Welcome back to Victoris Triumph Series Week 2. I am Daniel, and I'm still joined by Mason for the stream. And we just saw a bit of a sine wave of a game where Nameless Masters certainly winning in the first half, but then an amazing Ezreal Baron steal gave Ohio State the lead.
Absolutely. It was a great one to watch. It was entertaining the whole way through. It felt sort of out of control. Ohio State sort of losing their grip on the game, but they were able to get that steal on the Baron and get back into it and seemed dominant from that point. Both teams really looked good. If that Smite Secure went the other way, it seems hard for Ohio State to win that game, but once they got that steal, they looked dominant. So probably a lot of draft switch-ups coming up, probably a lot of things to change. A lot of standout performances. BioGamer, obviously 12-0 on that Hecarim pick, his most confident pick. Moondologist, his score wasn't very impressive, but he was doing crazy things. He was turning kills around in a 1v5 situation. He was sort of dominating that side lane for the start of the match. I'd love to see him on his Mundo, apparently. Ban-worthy champion. He seems very confident on the Aatrox, so that'd be a fun one to see.
I'd say I'd like to see him if I didn't want to see Ohio State win.
Well,
so.
Sure. We got an extra game.
Granted, that is true.
Give him a
Maybe
Mundo for one. Just for one.
You know,
just one Mundo. We'll see.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Ohio State decides to ban Tom Kench, because he was definitely a big part of that early game lead last game.
Absolutely.
They couldn't team fight when Tom Kench was there.
Especially if they're going for things like the Pike. I know Flux is very confident on the Thresh and the Blitzcrank. These very aggressive laners, very hard to deal with a Tom Kench on those characters. So definitely something worth considering is that ban. But what other things are they? They banned the Jinx in the first game and the Mundo, and I forget what the third one was. But maybe willing to trade one of those bans out. The Senna Tom Kench, definitely looking powerful in this patch. And very flexible, too, because like I was saying earlier, is they don't have to go for the fasting Senna and the CSing Tom Kench. They can just have a full carry Senna alongside a more supportive Tom Kench. There's a lot of options in that lane, so it might be worth the ban from Ohio State.
Tom Kench definitely still has those options, especially with his ultimate. He can just play protection for the ADC. He can CS and just straight up frontline like he was last game. So definitely a lot of options in there.
And then let's talk about other things from the first game. Is Vladimir didn't get a lot done in the late game, even though I was hyping him up as a threat. He definitely was winning the 1v1 versus the Hunt for Value. He definitely was like taking very, very threatening solo kills in those side lanes, but TH4 sort of locked it down later in the game, sort of settled down, got to farming safely, got back into the game, and the Vladimir really couldn't find an angle.
Yeah, Vladimir was hard, and I think it was also, I mean, we keep mentioning it, but BioGamer was just so impactful. His impacts, I saw him so many times just come in and he would hit Vladimir.
Right. I mean, it's impossible to not mention him. When you go 12-0-7, you've got probably more than 70% KP in that match. It's hard to not talk about that guy. That guy was destroying everyone.
Yeah, certainly. Because we were even talking about Pike roaming, but most Pike hooks went on the Tom Kench, which I think made it a little harder for him to CS, but ultimately didn't end up with much.
Again, that Flux definitely, like we were saying, that early game looked really good for Nameless Masters. They had advantage. The Pike really couldn't get anything going on, couldn't make a big edge like he was supposed to on that early game roaming pick. But once we got later in the game, those hooks started to be lethal. The Ezreal had enough damage to just one-shot any character that got hit by the hook. As it looks like we're going to be hopping right into the draft, Aphelios banned again.
Still an Aphelios fan. Yep, that was the one that we were forgetting from the first game. So.
Oh, that's a ban from Nameless Masters against OSU Blue. So
and it looks like we
aren't going to get the Mundo game. That's a tragedy.
Corki also gone.
Again, that power pick. It looks like a lot of the bans sort of staying the same for the two teams. Well, almost certainly we're going to get a Hecarim ban this time. I don't see a world where they decide, really? Okay, well, the first pick still available for him, so unless if they really just aren't scared of BioGamer on this pick, it'd be crazy to me. It does look like we are coming in from a pro draft, so we will be seeing the champions picked in their roles instead of in order. A Wukong.
A Wukong top.
Very interesting. Not really feeling confident on that Camille.
We've got the BioGamer pick here. Looks like he did not get the Hecarim he was looking for, but Nunu still has good engage.
So I'd have to guess. I'd have to guess that Hecarim was first picked on blue side, taken away. Otherwise, I'm almost certain that Ohio State would have prioritized it for BioGamer in those first two picks on the red side. Annie, TH4, a new mid laner swapping the role in the past 2 weeks, and I've heard plenty of advice about this. You just pick Annie, and you just win. That's how mid lane works, right?
Yeah, you just get Timbers on the battlefield, and he does the work for you sometimes.
If the entire enemy team gets stunned, how are they supposed to play? You just pick an AoE stun ultimate, and you win.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
You see these bans coming through again. Just like to mention for everyone on this broadcast, we are coming from a pro draft, so these bans seeming a little bit odd. We're banning Gangplanks when top laners are already locked in. This is not the order things were happening. I heard that Wukong was actually an R5 pick, so it was the last pick, counter pick for Ohio State. They think, hey, this matchup's better into the Aatrox than Camille was, since we struggled on that last time. And I gotta say, this very interesting coming out. I don't know if the Xayah was picked to sort of take away from the Xayah Rakan on the enemy team, or if it was vice versa. The Rakan was sort of a takeaway pick so that Ohio State couldn't have the Xayah Rakan bottom lane, that sort of powerful lane that we were talking about before the first game had started. Where this game, looking at this draft, it definitely seems like Ohio State's going back to that original plan that I was talking about. They have two powerful engages in the bottom side. They've got an early game ganker in the Nunu. This Annie can roam down and destroy bottom laners. So it seems like they're going to go aggressive with Blue and Flux.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Nameless Masters as well. It almost seems like they want to take a page or two out of OSU's book because they've got the Hecarim and the Ezreal for themselves. So that'll be interesting to see as well. Woodologist on Aatrox again, so
he looked good on the pick. So if they were blinding top lane again because they had to get that early game priority on the Hecarim, it makes a lot of sense to me. He looked good on it. He seemed strong. Yeah, but they took the pieces that were very powerful for Ohio State. So the two carries, the Hecarim and the Ezreal, the big damage dealers from that composition. They sort of like, all right, those are pretty good champs. Well, let us borrow those. Let me take my try on the Hecarim, see how it goes.
I was talking a while ago about Flex and Thresh at the start of the game, and we are going to get to see it this year. We know he loves those hook champs like he was talking about. Blitzcrank, Pike we saw in the last game, and now he's going to get on his Thresh. So
yeah,
we
Flux,
get to see that kind of thing
again,
going on.
very confident on these aggressive hook champions, trying to get himself an advantage in that bottom lane. Xayah doing a great job of sort of setting up off of that CC. Once you get a hook, once you get a flay, you can get those feathers to root somebody in. Giant amounts of damage coming in. So I definitely expect to see a lot more jungle pressure and a lot more just kills going on in this bottom lane.
Yeah, so after that draft, we're going to take a little bit of a break for competitive integrity's sake before we start the next match. So see you guys soon.
looks like we've got a little bit of a pause going, so we're going to come back. Hello, everybody. We've just finished up with our draft, just finished up with our competitive integrity delay. We can talk about that a little bit more since we've got some extra time. Isn't that exciting?
Yeah. Most of our predictions came true. The Hecarim was definitely the first pick, and then when OSU had their next 2 picks, they grabbed that Nunu for a jungler, and then they grabbed Xayah, so that Rakan was counterpicked to deny that Xayah Rakan bot lane.
We are going to hop back into the game. Last thing we wanted to mention from the draft is R4 was Annie, and then counter to that was the Vel'Koz. So Shwam Wow is looking to sort of use the extra range to sort of punish the Hunt for Value, the newer mid lane player, and take advantage of the shorter range burst mage that Annie sort of fills the role of.
Yeah, definitely something we're going to have to watch out for. Range has just become more and more important on this patch, so definitely something that Hunt for Value needs to be careful of.
Absolutely.
Speaking of things that Hunt for Value needs to be careful of, Mundologist, Forest, and ShamWow are really trying to get a gank off on her really early on here, but unfortunately for them, just not going to be able to make it happen.
It gets a couple charges of the Corrupting Flask. They got the Sweeper coming in to sort of deny this vision. Gets that advantage in the solo lane that I mentioned in the last game. That 1 CS from killing a ward gives you level 1 a little bit earlier. Something to mention, it looks like the Hunt for Value has taken the Ignite, so sort of threatening this Vel'Koz pick. Once he's able to sort of get his ultimate, get the burst online, can definitely threaten a kill, and alongside the Nunu, the ganks are going to be powerful into this immobile mage in the mid lane.
Yeah, that's definitely something we're going to need to watch out for. And it looks like Nameless was both hiding in the top bush on bot lane. They definitely wanted to make something happen early game, but nothing came of it. But speaking of the early game, Mundologist and Mookub getting into a brawl very quickly here. Mookub is going to get just a little bit of an advantage, but they decide to back off.
Yeah, both top laners starting Doran Shield, which it's interesting. In a trade-heavy lane, the regeneration definitely makes a big difference, but this is Mookub's counter pick, right? Mookub picked this R5 with the gank coming in the mid lane.
Yeah, speaking of the early gank, ShamWow is going to take a lot of damage, but is not going to fall to the Nunu.
Yeah, that's both sums from the Hunt for Value, so he's now in a bit of a dangerous spot, and the flash from Biogamer just for the flash of the Vel'Koz. So doing a good job of sort of living that gank, deflecting the pressure. Good hook.
Very good hook on a soldier, like he said, and unfortunately they're just not going to be able to make enough of it. Rakan giving him that shield, but Mookub, Mundologist are back at it again, and Mookub has just been pushing Mundologist down under this tower. This counter pick that he's picked seems to be working out, and he is going to get level 3 first, threaten even more, going in, dealing a lot of damage, and going to draw out the flash.
Great aggression coming out of Mookub on this Wukong. His counter pick, they saved Red 5, the last pick of the game, to counter this Aatrox in the top lane. And it looks like it's putting in the value. He's getting a flash on himself, no gank, but a gank is coming into the bottom lane.
Yeah, Forest Outlet is going to be looking for something here, but Nunu also going to look for something coming in. OSU Blue is going to get critically low, but is going to go back in for the fight. Biogamer gets in, and OSU Blue claims the first blood as Xayah. They're following up on Forest Outlet. He's desperately trying to run away. And
Ezreal's up far.
Get away, but Soldier going to flash into Ohio State. I'm not sure if that was quite the right play, but does get a kill off of it. Biogamer struggling and not going to claim it. Flux is the last one left.
He's got red buff.
The trade. And
Ezreal's the dash coming up, Ezreal getting out of there. But that was a scrappy fight. That's what, 7 summoners blowing, something ridiculous like that. Giant pile of flashes and ignites and heals going in different directions as people overextend and miss skill shots. That's a fun one.
I believe 4 flashes and 2 ignites were used in that fight, so
yeah,
definitely
like we
was
said,
scrappy.
This was the what we expected. The bot lane has suddenly become a much bigger priority. The Ohio State's bottom lane wanting to play aggressive, but a regank coming for the mid lane.
Yeah, Hunt for Value been baiting ShamWow back. Biogamer able to get in with the Nunu and going to deal lots of damage. However, Forced Owl's going to get up. ShamWow able to take the Annie down even in the midst of that. Biogamer trades onto the Vel'Koz, but Biogamer can have a hard time getting away until Thresh shows up and lanterns him out of there.
Just all of these flashes getting blown in the early game, turning into kill after kill. This Nunu being able to be active on the map, Hecarim being able to make these counter ganks work, and both supports roaming to the mid lane. It's a bloody one, and that's sort of what we expected. We saw these picks and we were looking for it. A giant minion wave.
Yeah, very large minion wave, but Soldier overstepping just a tad, gets hit by a turret shot, and that's going to hurt him a lot for the ganks coming in from Biogamer. BioGamer's been really aggressive on this. Rakan is going to counter with Grand Entrance, and Flux is just going to miss the hook, and now they're both safe under their tower. So.
Great job from Beeped blocking that snowball, making sure that his Ezreal, who had already used his E, is safe to sort of get out of there.
Yeah, certainly, and the fights are back in the mid lane, but nothing much is going to happen. And Ohio State, while they've just pushed the bot lane back, is going to be able to take this dragon because there's going to be no one to contest it. Hecarim was nowhere to be seen and all that, and both bot laners are recalling.
And even though the Hunt for Value is sort of getting bullied by his range disadvantage, he's controlling the minion waves well enough for his team to get the objectives. They get the mid wave shove, they get the bot wave shove. This Vel'Koz can't move on the play, so they get to lock down this dragon early on in the game. Gold even across the map. This sort of aggression sort of being matched by both sides, so no advantages are coming out too strong.
Yeah, we've mentioned BioGamer and Forest Outlet on the Nunu and the Hecarim have been really aggressive with their ganks so far.
But we see in the river coming toward this Vel'Koz, the greatest snowball over is building up, and the Annie has 6. No flash on ShwamWow.
ShwamWow is not going to be able to avoid BioGamer's snowball. Going to get stunned and hooked by Flux, and Annie, with the Hunt for Value, able to take him out and claim the first kill of the mid lane.
And maybe they counterpick this Vel'Koz because it can bully Annie in the 1v1, but this isn't a 1v1. Flux and BioGamer are living in the mid lane to punish this long-range squishy mage without a dash. His flash almost back up, so he might have some of that safety back, but I could see BioGamer, the Hunt for Value, blowing their own flashes just to trade for that summoner again to keep this aggression going on in the mid lane.
Yeah, and it's certainly working out for them. We've seen bits where Hunt for Value is left alone against Vel'Koz, and Hunt for Value is nearly always just camping under the tower. But whenever Nunu comes in, BioGamer is just so effective at hitting those snowballs and finding the right angle that it's just become a matchup that Hunt for Value is slowly grinding away at him with.
Beep's roaming up to make some plays happen on the other side of the map, but he's still level 3. This Rakan's very weak, very squishy, and one-shottable by the champions.
Well, it looks like there's a large fight happening toward top lane. Mooka, BioGamer was in a bit of trouble because Outlet and the support had come up, but they're both able to get out before any major damages happened. But
and these 280 carries enjoying the 1v1 in the bottom lane. That does blow BioGamer's flash, so it's going to be harder for him to make that aggressive play on the ShwamWow that we're talking about. But this aggressive play seems like it's still going on.
Yeah, this top lane is still under heavy pressure from Nameless. While they're chasing down Mookub and BioGame under the second turret, Mundologist has been almost claiming a plate, but now we're going to get a team fight. Oh, ShwamWow with tons of damage. Aatrox coming in by Mundologist, finishing off BioGamer.
They're looking for a big summon Tibbers, but the Lantern takes them right into the Vel'Koz, and they're just annihilated by the AOVCC from the Hecarim ultimate and the Vel'Koz, just burning down everyone on the team. Blue using the exhaust.
Well, this is all happening. It's given space to the bot lane where these ADCs are still going 1v1. OSU Blue and Nameless kind of trading positions, and it's certainly getting interesting.
The level up and the Ezreal ult coming out to close out the kill. That's very aggressive, like we were saying from OSU Blue, just not able to sort of close it out. I think Ezreal's just a better sort of 1v1 champ. Xayah sort of relying on the setup to land those feathers, gets the feathers stacked up and ready for a kill, and just can't do it against the more nimble Ezreal pick.
Yeah, and I mean, another big thing in the middle of that is OSU Blue did ult before Ezreal because they had level 6, but they weren't able to hit any of the feathers, and Ezreal just farms while in a bush, and OSU Blue wasn't able to anticipate the ultimate.
And this counter matchup in the top lane is starting to look a little bit rougher. The red buff onto the side of Moondologist lets him play a little more aggressively, even with the Executioner's Calling coming out for Mookub to shut down the healing. It doesn't seem to be making that much of a difference.
Yeah, very early game Grievous wounds, but BioGamer attempted a gank onto ShamWow in the mid lane, but incapable of following up on it. But Mundologist continuing to bully Mookub in the top lane. Mookub is just under tower and still losing plates.
Yeah, this pressure in the top lane is rough. Mookub doesn't really seem to have the tools, but here's a tool for him. The snowball looks like it gets canceled out, so no play in the top side. He is spotted on a ward.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. It's always good to see a snowball come in, but Mundologist really following up on Mookub now, and Mookub is going to be able to get away, but very injured.
Yeah, Mookub might lose another plate here. Having to recall, doesn't have the teleport available, is going to have to just walk back into the lane slowly. Somewhere that I want to focus is ShwamWow did have to use his flash, so that pressure that we were seeing early game in the mid lane, it still is there. But pressure in the bot side, Hecarim looking for an ult.
OSU's bot lane is under heavy pressure, but a quick flash and lantern from Flux is able to get him outside of the ultimate range from Hecarim there. But if they decide to recall, they're going to lose plates, and they're going to keep fighting here because the Nunu is coming down the bot lane. BioGamer looking to capitalize on this as the Drake is spawning soon.
Yeah, they got the Herald summoned up here. Going to get a couple of plates, but not too many, really, in the grand scheme of what this objective can be used for. But it looks like they are going to threaten Ohio State's bottom lane off the turret.
Yeah, Flux got very low on health there, was barely able to make it alive. Soldier might have been looking for a tower dive there, but not quite able to make it happen. Could maybe make it happen against OSU Blue now. Ease in, gets the ult. OSU Blue almost turns it around on Soldier. Oh, does. OSU Blue claims the first kill, and then the tower takes him out.
A great use of the ultimate there to bait the Ezreal a little deeper under the turret, make him think that he can get the solo kill cleanly, and is able to trade it out, but that's not super worth it.
Oh, Nunu looked like BioGamer just didn't know what it was walking into, but is able to actually get Rakan on the way out. But Mookub trying to take plates on the top lane here. Mandala just teleports in to stop him.
That is important for Mookub. He does trade the plates back. Hunt for value, looking for an aggressive play here, but let's take a step back. Let's see what's going on in this game. Who do we fave later into the match? It seems hard for me to see the long range of the Vel'Koz and the Ezreal get beat out without some very consistent hard engage, and unless we get a flank from an Annie or a Wukong, it seems very difficult for Ohio State's team to sort of get in onto the Nameless Masters roster.
Yeah, and Nameless, like you said, Vel'Koz is going to be one of their main sources of damage, but I'm also looking, Hecarim and Rakan give them just amazing engage tools that Ohio State doesn't exactly have the match for.
Yeah, and since Ohio State's down in gold here, it's hard for them to sort of get the objective first and force the engage onto themselves, which is sort of the situation where a Nunu ultimate or a Xayah thrives, right? So having to contest in themselves is a little more difficult, as Beept has to burn his flash, but nothing much more will come of it unless there's a good death sentence. Seems to miss, so everything will stay a little bit calm.
Yeah, quite tense there on the bot lane for just a second, but they able to get out of it. Mookub and Mandologist are fighting. Mandologist hits 10 in the middle of the fight and is bullying this Mookub even under the tower. Takes a turret shot, but knows when to leave.
And those trades are going a little bit more even, but...
Ooh, Thresh finally hits a hook. OSU Blue eliminates Soldier, and Beeps is the last one on the bot lane.
Oh, the Ezreal not respecting the death sentence and gets sentenced to death. The extra burst damage coming out of the Gale Force, but coming into the jungle, BioGamer trying to get his red buff, just trying to farm his camps, but can't do it. There's 3 members coming to punish him.
Oh, that is just rough, yeah.
When your top laner's getting shoved in and your mid laner can't roam first because of the range disadvantage, the jungler just starts having a bad time. But Mookub looks like he's about to have a bad time.
Yeah, Mookub is desperately fleeing away from Owlet and Mandologist here, but I just don't... Actually, Mookub turns on Mandologist, able to kill him under the tower with CC placed at just the right spot, but looks like Forest Owlet getting out of there before things get any worse.
Yeah, Mookub able to sort of punish the overextension there from Moondologist. Moondologist sort of feeling like he's ahead in this lane, feeling very strong. Another death sentence.
Uh-oh. So it's hit again, and OSU Blue takes down the enemy ADC once more, cementing the CS lead just that much further.
Yeah, OSU Blue not hesitating for a moment, ready to flash forward, keep playing this aggressive Xayah, Gale forcing in, flashing in, getting kills over and over again, and this bot lane pressure is landing on the turret. This is sort of the gold buildup, sort of getting back to even with Nameless Masters here.
Yeah, Ohio State slowly taking a small lead, and big thanks to this bot lane aggression.
Absolutely. I don't think this snowball will turn into much unless Bio's a little overextended.
Bio does attempt that snowball, but the enemy support isn't quite going to bite on the bait of chasing after him.
Let's talk a little bit about itemization. As we were talking about, the Hecarim got his Turbo Kim tank complete, started stacking that tier. Once he gets to that 2-item spike we focused so heavily on in the last game, he will become the menace. Maybe not as strong as BioGamer was in that last match, going 12-0, but very, very powerful himself. But Annie opted for the Everfrost, so really focusing less on the burst and more on the crowd control and the setup for his teammates.
Yeah, and that's gonna leave Xayah as one of the main damage sources, but ShwamWow able to take out Hunt for Value as a fight's gonna happen over the Rift Herald. BioGamer seems to be out on top at the start, but the Rakan with some excellent engage is able to punish on OSU Blue. Flux is getting out of there. His teammate BioGamer looks like it's gonna fall too.
Blue does pick up the Herald, though, so they trade these couple kills for the Rift Herald for Ohio State, but the Annie doesn't trade anything. Burning down to that Leandries, the all-in from the Vel'Koz, just absolutely threatening now that he hit that level 11 point. The Lifeform Destruction Ray, just absolutely destroying the Annie.
Yeah, but Flux decides that wants to do something about this and is going to drag this Vel'Koz under the tower to hopefully take some tower shots, and he's going to get punished for it. Forest Outlet is just going in on him, but unable to make anything of it.
He said, "How dare you solo kill my mid laner? I'm going to go aggressive on you," not realizing the other teammates of Nameless Masters sort of surrounding him. Has to blow his own flash there.
Yeah, this Mundologist is continuing to punish this Wukong on the top lane, and it's really just been a theme of this so far, that the top lane has just been pushed up.
Yeah, Mukub struggling sort of in both of these games. Not nearly as bad in this one. A lot of the kills seeming to be on his teammates. GG my team, he says, as he's 1-0 in this top lane. But the plate gold and the extra kills that the Aatrox has sort of positioned him in the lead here. I don't no steal coming from the Ezreal ult, as we've seen in this series, be a problem.
Yeah, OSU claiming the dragon after noting most of the enemy team was in the mid lane. And yeah, the Ezreal ult certainly came in there, but Nameless unable to make the impact, at least on that one that OSU did last game.
And just like last game, OSU they're falling behind. They're not really they're getting aggressive, but they're not getting the lead, the raw gold that they were looking for.
Ooh, BioGamer attempting a tower dive with its snowball on that Ezreal, just incapable of making it work so far, but Thresh is there to get him out of there before anything bad happens to him.
But what do you think the problem has been for Ohio State? Because both of these early games, they fall behind. Last game, able to pull it back because of the Baron steal, but something's not exactly landing about the first 10, 15 minutes of these matches.
Yeah, Ohio State's just seems to not quite be ahead on roams, I think, because we've seen the supports are coming in to help the mid laner, and the top lane ganks was a huge thing in that game one, so... Just
like a members mismatch. The sort of Nameless Masters have 3 or 4 people in a fight where Ohio State's only bringing 2, really just causing a problem with it. And you can see that in the kill participation across the board. A lot of these kills in the bottom lane are solo kills for OSU Blue or maybe 2v2 kills, whereas when Nameless Masters are getting plays done, they're bringing 3, 4, 5 people sometimes and taking up 2 kills in a team fight.
Yeah, but speaking of numbers advantage, OSU decided to take it onto Mundologist in this top lane. BioGamer able to take him out, so hopefully that'll buy some space for Mookub to get back ahead on this. But while that's happening, this Vel'Koz has taken a huge chunk out of Thresh, even killing him.
Just disgusting poke. He dies from full health from 1,000 units away. What are you supposed to do about that? His hook can't even hit the characters that are killing him.
Yeah, Wukong able to make advantage of the death of Aatrox on that gank, as we were talking about, and it's going to push a little bit. But while that happens, they focus on the mid lane while Wukong stayed there and claimed a mid tower, which is very valuable this early on in the game.
And at this point, with the strong poke damage out, I don't think front-to-back team fights are the way Ohio State's going to bring this back. To me, the 2 angles of attack that they're looking at is this Wukong, he's getting pretty strong. He's got a bit of a CS advantage. He got that tower gold mostly to himself. He can be a threat in the side lane, and maybe playing around that is going to be the best bet, having to just drop the Herald as it seems like he was about to time out. But also, Ohio State has those 2 dragons killed, so maybe stacking for a soul might be the sort of win condition they're looking at, and creating the pressure with the Wukong to draw people away from that objective.
Yeah, but the dragon spawning on top, creating pressure toward... dragon spawning in the bot river and putting pressure toward top, it's certainly a strategy since they're only 2 drakes from soul.
Teleport coming out. Seems like Ohio State's able to disengage from that safely. A hook coming through, but Rakan, very, very nimble champion, is able to slip and slide his way out of there, so they don't commit onto it.
Yeah, and it seems like both teams are forming around this Rift Herald. Not Rift Herald anymore. It's going to be Baron here soon, and maybe a team fight even coming out, as everybody is just gathering around here as Mundologist is threatened by BioGamer's Snowball.
Yeah, this top lane turret's looking rather low. 5 members from Nameless Masters up in the top side of the map, but 5 members from OSU are walking up themselves. Hard to fight over this turret, but they might look for it.
Oh, yeah. It looks like Nameless is going to be able to take this turret, and Ohio State and Nameless, all 5 members here. And it looks like they're going to engage an amazing grand entrance from Rakron. ShamWow with the amazing damage, able to take down 1, and Ezreal finishes another. Ezreal finishes a 3rd. And finally, OSU is able to trade 1 kill back, but a quadra kill from Soldier is able to cleanly take that team fight into the advantage of Nameless.
A quadra kill out of nowhere. A few kills traded back for Ohio State, but 4 kills and the ace going over to Nameless Masters when they already feel like they have the strong lead in this game, able to push for that outer turret and probably this inner one as well. And then they still have time to reset and set up for that dragon. So sort of Ohio State's win conditions, this side lane, they just send all 5 members. They say, hey, Wukong's not going to win the 1v1 because he's not going to have a 1v1 to fight. And then they're going to lock down this dragon, and now Soul is much less threatening for Ohio State. So those 2 avenues that they're looking to get back in this are very, very hard. It's going to have to be a really good flank from either the Annie or the Wukong to sort of make a team fight happen when it really shouldn't at this point with a almost 5,000 gold lead.
Yeah, Nameless in the middle of that team fight as well, just taking really good advantage of their engage tools. We saw Rakon got in there and was able to W Grand Entrance, knock up 2 of the members of Ohio State, which meant that all they could do was sit there and take the damage as Vel'Koz death lasered them, and that just put them so far behind, and they were retreating, but even the tower didn't save them.
Yeah, I wasn't super confident as Beef popping the quickness very early in that fight, but able to make it work anyway, and they are taking the sort of hold around this objective. Like we touched on last game, the itemization is coming through. Both Muramon is active for the Ezreal, for the Hecarim. Those powerful picks from the last game, they're online in this game too. The Turbo Chem Tank, the 3-item spike for the Ezreal. These champions are powerful, and it's going to be very, very difficult for Ohio State to find a fight here.
Yeah, and as you said, they're still fighting around the objective, but looks like Nameless is going to try to go in, but is able to be stopped at the start. But Rakon with an ultimate charms 2 of them. Ezreal, Vel'Koz each take a kill each. Soldier is continuing to push forward, and Owlet is going to start ulting in. They're not satisfied with just this. Mookub is able to take out his enemy in the mid lane, but Biogamer and OSU Blue in deep trouble in this bot lane. Biogamer able to trade onto Owlet, though. Beept is now taking another engage and able to do something. Wukong teleports in. Soldier, Soldier's in trouble now. OSU not quite able to turn the team fight, though. Mookub is going to be killed. Biogamer, the last remaining member of Ohio State, and 3 Nameless players to take the Drake.
Yeah, and Mookub, one of the most powerful members of OSU, just not being able to participate in that fight. He did win the 1v1 versus the Aatrox, but the Aatrox bought enough time for his team to get a great engage, great Vel'Koz damage, and basically just secure the dragon before Wukong even participated.
Yeah, as you were saying, that OSU doesn't want to do a front-to-back team fight, but Nameless was able to force that with their engage tools. That Hecarim, that Rakon, once again, just keeping the front line of Ohio State just completely CC'd down, unable to use any of their tools. And once they melt through that, all that was left was Mookub to come in, hopefully grab something, which, as we said, unsuccessful, and puts Nameless just that much further ahead.
Yeah, and Ohio State, they felt like they had to do something right. They wanted that soul point on the board for themselves, so they felt like they had some sort of window into the win to look for, but trying to force that team fight in a place where they didn't really have vision control and they didn't really have map control, with the waves sort of pushing towards them and the team not being all set up for a proper flank. Very hard for them to win that fight, and it does go in the way of Nameless Masters.
Yeah, it's hard in those situations because you definitely do want to fight for it. Because if you win that, the risk to reward is really, really good, but when it goes bad, it just looks terrible.
And at this point, I don't know. Wukong still going to look for the side lane, but the Nash has been started. It's going to have to be a miracle steal from this Nunu.
Yeah, Nunu is definitely going to have a hard time getting in there, but perhaps Thresh could help out. But they're getting poked for so much damage. That Vel'Koz and that Ezreal just dealing so much damage.
I love to see Nameless Masters sort of stopping on this objective, making sure that they don't coin flip. Last game they lost, doing the same thing, right? Mookub getting pressure on the side lane, but it's hard to kill an Aatrox.
Yeah, he's definitely doing his best. Chasing down Mundologist, though, deals a lot of damage. But while that's happening, Nameless taking advantage of the absence of Mookub on the top lane as they push Ohio State back even further into their own jungle. and looks like they want to re-engage the Nash.
They're going back on this, but they didn't get in there. They didn't pop that blast cone, so Nunu still has an avenue into the pit, but his support had to reset, had no wards left. TP coming through. The Aatrox trying to secure it. Nunu's still looking. He might take the blast cone blind and just go for it. He is in there.
He is going to grab there.
It's close.
He's going to airborne. He's going to get absolutely CC'd down, and ShamWow going to follow up on it. Looks like the enemy jungler Forest is going to be able to smite down the Baron. And yeah, that is just really unfortunate.
Yeah,
Once again, Ohio State looking for a play, and Nameless just ready. They punish him for it.
Absolutely. Nameless Masters doing a great job on that Baron. They kept it right out of that Nunu window. With his Consume Smite combo, he deals 1,900 damage almost instantly. So they keep it 2,600 health, just so that he wants to go in, he wants to get over that wall and try for the steal, but he can't do it. He gets burned down beforehand. And you saw OSU Blue and the Hunt for Value both were throwing abilities over the wall. Tibbers coming in and Feathers coming out of the Xayah, trying their best to just get it to drop below that threshold. But great job from Nameless. Had the vision control, had the setup around that objective to make sure that Bio couldn't get it in a steal so they don't lose the game like they did last time.
Yeah, and notably the Ezreal is on Nameless side, so the chance of that happening just wasn't there.
No Ezreal. There's no way to get it. That's the only way.
Yeah, there's not even a Viego where they could try something like that.
And it looks rough. If we look back down at the items in the inventories, Ezreal bought a full Frozen Heart sitting on an Elixir. He's ready to get one more fight in this game. And there's really no way to kill him. He's got a Crown of the Shattered Queen, so Annie can't one-shot him. If a Wukong tries to dive in, he just gets slowed down by that Frozen Heart. There's nothing much that these characters can do to kill this guy, and he's going to be dealing massive damage.
Yeah, Vel'Koz with Zhonya's as well, so the second highest part of the damage for them is just going to be sitting behind that kind of wall, and OSU just getting pushed back further and further and further right now.
And like we were saying, there's always a chance a good Wukong Cyclone or a good Summon Tibbers can get a giant AoE lockdown on the team. But I don't think Nameless Masters are going to give Ohio State the opportunity. They're putting giant pressure on these inhibitors right now.
Yeah, and then, as you were saying with the 5-man, they're not even going to play as a 5-unit group. They're going to try and split up OSU as they take this mid inhibitor and send 2 people toward the bot lane.
The flash is up for the Annie. The flash is up for the Wukong, but the flash is up for the carries on the other side on Nameless Masters. The Vel'Koz and the Ezreal both having a lot of defensive tools to survive if they go for this engage. So it's very hard to find a way back in this game for Ohio State. BioGamer trying to get out of there, casting the ult just for the shield. It's rough.
Oh, that is rough. Yeah, and it looks like Nameless is going to take this bot lane tower here and push OSU even back. They've already got the mid inhib, so the super minions are already going to start applying pressure there, and if they get this bot inhib as well, it's just going to be so hard because Dragon's also spawning soon, but in the middle of this we have a team fight. OSU looking to force something. OSU Blue is actually able to get 2 kills at the start of it. Ezreal taking down the Thresh. Oh my gosh, Wukong actually takes out the Vel'Koz.
On the side. It's massive. Can Wukong do it?
Soldier's
he gets the
last
1,000
one
gold
left.
bounty. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. Like we were talking about, there's always a chance. You have the Annie, you have the Wukong. Wukong able to just eliminate the Vel'Koz without any of Vel'Koz's teammates being there, being ready. An overextension on the tower, the team not really being synced up. Nameless Masters, maybe not giving it all the way back. There's still about a 6,000 gold lead, but this is a lot better for Ohio State. The Baron pressure is gone now. It looks like they're going to be able to pick up a dragon maybe. We see the Nunu on it. He is going to be able to finish that. That's an objective bounty. Even more of that gold just sort of shored up for Ohio State. They're going to have to contest this next Baron in 2 minutes. It's going to be hard. They're going to be down an inhibitor, but it's looking better. It's looking possible.
Yeah, that team fight, obviously, I mean, when you win a team fight and lose one person, it's always going to get you in a really good position after that. So OSU is going to need to capitalize on it, like you said, because really that team fight got them out of a bad situation. That wasn't a team fight that got them into a place to win the game. They're going to have to do it again if they want to win the game.
Absolutely. So we're going to see those wards, objective spawning in a minute 45, wards lasting 3 minutes. So it is time to get in there, get the vision control. Ohio State looking to pick the support.
Ooh, beeped. Oh, going to get hooked by the Thresh, but with Wukong's just slippery W, he's able to just go over the wall and get out of that situation.
Yeah, Rakan having so many movement tools. He just charms up the enemy team, the quickness, locking him down, and the grand entrance, taking him over the wall. There's nothing to really do about that. So he's able to sort of defend this vision, but they get the quickness, but I believe that'll be up in time for the Baron to spawn. So not a giant trade out there, but Ohio State's still looking for plays, still trying to get back into this, and still trying to be able to see in their jungle, which is going to be critical for the next Baron play.
Yeah, definitely. The vision control still in Nameless right now, and OSU's been kind of had their hands busy making sure that those mid inhibs don't threaten their Nexus while this Baron's going to start to spawn.
Yeah, they're doing a pretty good job keeping the waves in control, and this Wukong has looked very powerful. So hopefully we'll be able to get the side lane pushed out a bit before the objective spawn. Both teleports up for the top laners, but both of them being able to cancel each other. So have to do it out of vision if they do. Mundologist a little overextended.
Mundologist is definitely around here without his teammates, but OSU decides not to follow up on it.
Yeah, death sentence going wide. Aatrox might have been able to live, but...
Ooh, Ezreal fires off an ult from the top lane, but nothing comes of it, and seems like Vel'Koz is back to the mid lane and could have support here, and oh, looks like both teams are converging on the mid lane here. We're going to see if a fight gets forced. Rakan is going to ult in, charm some people, but the death sentence is able to take out Rakan. OSU blue with the opening kill of the team fight. Mookub follows up on a Vel'Koz. Oh, his Cyclone is just absolutely shredding through them right now. Oh no, Mundologist is rooted. Flux is able to take it. Soldier takes a huge pick toward the Annie, but
Wukong is doing an incredible job of finding angles onto this Vel'Koz. The poor wizard cannot get out of there, doesn't have any dash, can't escape the monkey, and it's just getting blown up. This looks like it's going to be a Baron for Ohio State. That gold lead, even smaller now, 4K. And they can't contest this at all unless Hecarim wants to go for a Dream Steal, but they've lost their vision control. They've lost the Ezreal cult coming in, doesn't secure it in this game. Nunu dealing a touch more damage with the Smite secures, but Ohio State's making plays. A great Lantern from Flux to get OSU Blue, even if he got charmed, got him out of the Grand Entrance knockup, get him much further away from the team so the Vel'Koz couldn't follow up, the Ezreal couldn't follow up on the damage. And OSU is found a way to get back in gold. They're within 1,000. They've got soul points. Dragon spawning in a minute 30. A strong Wukong in the side lane. This counter pick's really coming through. He's looking very good. He's finding flicks. He's doing what he needs to.
yeah, we were worried about him in the early game, but he's just proven to be so useful. He's taken down Vel'Koz twice in a row in these team fights, which is just like almost half the damage of Nameless is going to be gone right there. And it's just such a problem. And now OSU going to be moving toward that Cloud Drake in about a minute because, like you said, they're at soul point. Claiming that would be huge for them. And even if a team fight breaks out, they've got Baron buff and they're even on gold again. So it could be really hard for Nameless to stop them.
Looks very hard, and they're going to be able to get this vision control pretty uncontested. This, like we were talking about with the Tom Kinch last game, the Nunu can just sort of wander through this jungle and lock everything down as he chooses.
Yeah, it's certainly been a problem for them, and this Drake, just the timer ticking down more and more and more, but as it's happening, Nameless is just getting pushed further and further away from it. OSU is taking the proper control. They've got so many wards, but they seem to be recalling it just the right time. Nameless is actually moving in and retaking most of the vision control here.
An important thing to note is Mookub had to use his teleport to find that flank in the last fight, but Moondologist still has his, so he's able to threaten the top lane right now before this objective spawns, whereas Mookub is having to walk down now and get mid priority.
Yeah, and Nameless is seeing Ohio State moving into this Drake, and they realize they have to back off. They do not have the tools to fight just yet.
Good death sentence.
Ooh. Thresh is going to move in there with the death sentence, and the team fight's going to erupt. Wukong is moving in again. His spinning is just
Giant
amazing.
Tibbers!
Tibbers, amazing work. Plus the Xayah ult is able to just claim the kills, and there is nobody to contest soul point for Ohio State.
Moondologist the only man on the map, but there's a Baron up. There's a Cloud Soul being taken. They might be able to knock down inhibitors or even the base. They've got 30 seconds on both of these death timers. They're looking to push out the bottom wave. This is incredible. They've found the angles. They've found the giant stuns. You just pick Annie and you win.
Yeah, you pick Annie, you just get the CC on Wukong and Thresh to just lock him down and let Tibbers do the work.
They're going for the end here.
Oh, and there's the soul in from Nunu, and Mudologist, the only one to contest right now. There's 10 seconds before Nameless can really get in here and contest this, but
shredded down.
Just gets shredded. And OSU with all 5 people here, able to take the Nexus before Nameless can spawn back in. And that is just the game. Ohio State takes the series 2-0 this time. We didn't have a painful first game.
I can't believe it. They were so far behind in gold. But they kept finding good angles for the team fights. They kept finding good ultimates from the Wukong, from the Annie, like we were talking about. And they were able to bring it back. It's just that Vel'Koz was so much of the burst damage. Whenever they would find a good engage, the Vel'Koz would just one-shot 2 members, and then the Ezreal would be able to clean up the fight. But with the Vel'Koz getting eradicated by the Wukong every fight, there was nothing they could do. They just lost the team fights.
Yeah, the CC from Thresh and Wukong they just find the Vel'Koz, locked him down, and from that point, Ezreal's all the damage they have left, and his damage is mostly on abilities. They have little cooldowns. He can't just finish everybody quickly like a traditional ADC would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and listen, absolute bloodbaths, early games looking pretty rough, but OSU's team fighting, OSU's map control, map plays, brought it back both games. They locked it down, and they win the series. They do a great job.
Yeah, and I think one of the worst things that happened there is we talked about that overextension when I said OSU won that team fight toward the bot tower there, that was just getting them out of a bad spot. But then they won that second team fight and just absolutely steamrolled from there.
All right, and with that, guys, we're going to throw it to a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to have an interview with one of the players from Ohio State to talk about that series. Welcome back to the Ohio State Esports broadcast. We just wrapped up a 2-0 series in the VTS Tournament Series Week 2. I'm here with Ryan Olesna, or The Hunt for Value if you just watched the previous games. We're coming off of a mid-performance for you, a new role that you just switched to. How have you felt about switching to a new role?
It's definitely been interesting. It's not something that I'm used to at all, so it's been like a complete change. I'm still not performing like I want to yet, but we'll get there.
Definitely struggled in a few of those laning phases, but in the late games, you kept bringing it back. You kept doing what you needed to do, getting a ton of damage pumped out on that Vex in the first game. And on the Annie game, you made some incredible flanks to sort of secure the win from pretty far behind in gold. And about that, I want to talk about both of those games. You guys were pretty far behind in the early game. You were struggling a little bit, but you guys sort of managed to reel it back in. You took the team fights you need to do, got a good Baron steal in the first game to sort of bring it back in your favor. What are comms like during that sort of situation? How do you guys keep your mental going when you're behind and it feels hard, but still to bring that back and get to a win?
Obviously we went down in both games early, or at least into the mid game. But yeah, the first game with the Baron steal, it was just kind of like everyone yelling. And then in the second game, we're just kind of like, okay, well, we know that we can win because we're just better players. So if we play the team fights correctly in the way that we should, then we shouldn't really have a problem. We have a better comp anyway, too.
And it looked like very confident in your guys' team fighting. That macro play, great rotations. You had some side lane threats in both of those lanes with your top lane, but honestly, some great flanks in the second game with the Wukong, with the Annie to make the plays happen, make the fights come in your favor. It looked great. One last question. How's your year been at the university? How are you liking playing for Ohio State, and how's your experience been on the team?
It's been interesting. I've enjoyed it a lot though. I think we've had a lot of roster swaps. So it's been a lot to get used to. Mostly me, just swapping around everywhere.
Just play every position.
Yeah, I mean, might as well at this point. But yeah, I'm hyped with the cool team that we got right now. All the guys, Muka, Bio, Dewey and Hung are great players, and it's been a lot of fun to have them. And it's a nice area we got going on here, so we're able to play in person, which is cool.
Yeah, we got a great place set up here at the arena. We're doing a great job. You guys are winning your matches. Everything's looking great. Anything exciting going on for you on campus? The sort of living the life of a college student at Ohio State University?
Yeah, pretty much. Just living it up, taking classes, hanging out.
Going to some of our great club events,
That's true.
Participating in our esports events we have going on, days of plays, things going on at the university. It's been a good year, and we're getting production set up. Things are going well. You guys are winning your matches. Hope to have you in another interview at another time, but I think that will be it for us today at Ohio State Esports broadcast. We hope to see you back another time.